organization. So I wouldn't know. The technical crew, are you ready for us, please? So, but before then, all right, let me call on the remarks from Otumba Dotun Alabi. That's the Vice President of the Society of Nigerian Artists. He has a very brief remarks for us before we go to the next presentation. So, Otumba Dotun Alabi is the Vice President of the SNA. SNA is actually one of the bodies, the member associations for REPRODUCTION, and they are actually for the Nigerian artists. So, I will, on this note, invite Otumba Dotun Alabi to please come forward for his own. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to once again welcome everybody to this noble event. Standing on previous established protocol, I'd like to say a fantastic thank you to Mr. Gbadega Adedapo for the wonderful job he's doing with REPRODUCTION, and Mr. Dare Oluwatuyi, Chairman MBFT, and Mr. Kayode Moturayo, who is also with the ED for REPRODUCTION. I would thank the NCC, Nigeria Copyright Commission, for this wonderful inclusion into the history and the repositioning of the copyright law in Nigeria. And from the Society of Nigerian Artists, it's one of the most vital documents that have come out because it has captured a very, very significant part of what we've been yearning for years. That's the right of artists to second and third sales of their artworks. So these are wonderful things that are going on. And I just want to say a very wonderful thank you to everybody for taking time to come and to also learn more about what's going on in REPRODUCTION. Thank you very much.
A round of applause for Otumba Dotun Alabi. Thank you so very much, sir. We appreciate you. All right, let me quickly announce that we have the mandate form for REPRODUCTION with us here. You know, the chairman in his remarks actually gave us the need for us to join REPRODUCTION. And he actually spoke about the fact that the major importance of joining REPRODUCTION is to get secondary financial benefits for the use of our works as publishers, as authors, you know. And of course, it will also ensure that there is a controlled use of authors and publishers' works. He spoke about the fair compensation for our efforts, you know, so that we can actually benefit directly from the levy that is being gotten, you know, from the use of our works. And there is no way we can track this without us having our mandate form being signed and having access to our repertoires, which obviously would give us the ROI that is expected. So I would like to actually implore everybody here to please pick up a form before we go. And in case you have any inquiry, any challenges as regards how to fill the form, please, you can always reach out to myself or the executive director of the REPRODUCTION. We're going to provide the necessary guidance that we require, you know, to get this done. Not only that, of course, we also would like all of us to visit our website. We have a lot of information on our website that is going to be very useful for us and to learn more about REPRODUCTION and the activities of REPRODUCTION. All right, without wasting much of our time, I want to believe that the next speaker is very ready for us, and that's Mr. Joseph Gyamfi. Mr. Joseph Gyamfi is actually connecting live from Ghana. He is the executive director of the Copy Ghana, and he will be speaking on the collective management of rights and role of stakeholders. He will be sharing with us the Copy Ghana experience, and we would have him just in about 10 minutes. Mr. Joseph, can you hear us, please?
Hi, am I audible?
All right, you have the floor. Please proceed. Thank you very much.
Yes, I think you are muted your mic, so I can't hear you. But if you can hear me, then I can quickly go on to my presentation.
All right,
presentation on the Copy Ghana experience. Yes, as you rightly said, my name is Joseph Jemfi, and I'm the acting executive director of Copy Ghana. I don't know if my screen is up. You can let me know so that I quickly start the presentation.
All right.
Hello?
Yes, please proceed. We can't see your screen, but share your screen so that we can have it here, please. Thank you.
Hello?
Yes, please proceed. Mr. Joseph, you can hear us. Kindly proceed with your presentation. Thank you. Technical, please, I wouldn't know if Mr. Joseph has shared his screen from that hand. Kindly display that for us to see here, please. Thank you. Thank you for the patience. We appreciate you. Please, let's just wait for them to come up so that we can quickly move on from this. Thank you. All right. I have been briefed that I think his network from Ghana is not really great. All right. We have online as well, Miss Dora Makwinja. Miss Dora Makwinja is actually connecting from Malawi. She is the chairperson of African Committee for IFRO, and of course the CEO of the Copyright Society of Malawi. That's Kosoma. All right, Dora, if you are there, I would like to have you speak so that we can confirm. All right, Dora.
I'm here.
All right, thank you very much. You can proceed with your presentation.
Okay, thank you very much. I don't have a presentation as such, but I'm just going to share with you my experience as well in terms of operation of RROs in Africa. Having been the chairperson of IFRO African Committee for quite some time now, I think over 5 years or so. So I think I have some experience, but I will also be basically zeroing in to Malawi to give you the experience of Malawi as well. So I will not belabor you with giving you the introduction in terms of what is collective management and all that, because Sarah has ably done that. But basically what I want to say is, number one, the collective management in Africa, or reprographic rights organizations in Africa, as we call them, do actually exist in a number of countries. We have, of course, Nigeria, where you are now, this conference in Kenya, but it has met some challenges on the way, and currently it's not functioning. And then we have also another one, or we had another one in Zimbabwe, which also stopped functioning, and the government there is in the process of establishing one. So what we have seen basically is that RROs, actually, like I said, that's for the English-speaking countries, but we also have in the French-speaking countries, and these are in countries like Burkina Faso, and then in Cote d'Ivoire, Tunisia, and then Senegal, and Morocco, as well as Algeria. That's just some of them. But even in Cameroon, we do have. But mostly, the ones that are functioning are not all those that I have mentioned. You can see that perhaps in the English-speaking countries, we have Malawi, Kosoma, Zaso, Nkosbots, and Daro in South Africa, and then Euro in Uganda. Well, Uganda not as much, but in the countries that I've mentioned, that's where the system of collective management, it seems to be working for now. Not that there is no chance that these organizations will work properly one day or will function as we do expect, but it's just that there have been some challenges, and I'll highlight those. But before I proceed, I want also to give you a chance, a perspective of Malawi, to say that here in Malawi, like Sarah said, we have two levels of membership. We have individual members, and then we have association members. So we have a blended kind of system. And this is also obtainable in Botswana and in Zambia as well. I'm sure even Ghana is also the same. And then South Africa, which operates, or Daro, which operates like more of an agency organization, operates normally on what is known as a transactional licenses. They are like a link between universities or users and the rights holders. So they're basically acting on behalf of the other rights holders, but more on an agency type, so to say. Whereas in our case, and most of these African countries that I've mentioned do have or do give what we call blanket licenses to the institutions. And these institutions that include universities, colleges, and private coffee shops and secondary schools. They get those blanket licenses, meaning the license covers everyone, both national and foreign rights holders. So what will happen is that, for example, here in Malawi, we would identify a university, give them a license to use or to reproduce copyright works that are originating from Malawi and then from other countries like the UK. And this would not normally be possible if there are no bilateral agreements. So what we need basically are also bilateral agreements. And these bilateral agreements would entail that a national RRO or a national CMO gets mandates from a foreign RRO that would allow that collective management body or RRO to license use of copyright works on their behalf of those foreign authors. And eventually they get the universities or any other institution that is using a copyright work or a book would then pay to a collective management organization. And these monies are paid to both the local authors and to the foreign authors. So the national treatment principle here works in that manner. And basically for us to do that, we also need to do some surveys. And I must say that not all the African RROs have been able to carry out. Here I can see production that is taking place in educational institutions. And then we also have a survey that was conducted in Zambia by ZASO. And that is, I think, more recent because I think it was in 2014, if I'm not mistaken, just to establish the extent of reproduction that is taking place in public and private universities in Zambia. And then Ghana too also carried out a survey. And these surveys are quite important because, as I say, they establish the extent of photocopying, and they also form a basis for us to distribute the remuneration that has been paid by the users. So, like I said, the licensees that we have now, the secondary schools, universities, colleges, and basically private copy system now. Like in Malawi, we also have the private copy system. So I can give you the figures presently, like for our last financial year, which ended in March 2023, because COSOMA is a parastatal, a statutory body, and therefore our financial year follows that of the government. So we collected from reprography for the past financial year, $45,362 US. And then from private copy, we collected about 1.5 or 1.6 US. And out of these, 232,000 US was what was for the authors and publishers of books. So in total, if you add the two, $45,000 and then $232,000 from the private copy system, it transpired that we collected about 277,000 US, and just for the literary side, text and image sector. So you can see that a country like Malawi, which is small in terms of the economy size, is able to collect that much. What more with Nigeria? Now that you have a new law, so to say, you do have a provision. I'm sure you will collect billions of US, because in Malawi Kwacha there, we're already in billion of Kwachas. So I think Nigeria will be able to collect a lot, and that will go towards the support of the creative sector. And then even reprography, if you get the universities, all of the universities to sign, and I'm sure in Nigeria you have more than 200 universities and colleges. So these, if they all get to pay, I think there will be transformation, total transformation of the text and image industry in Nigeria. And this is what I would wish for as chair of the African Committee. So I'm happy that this is happening today. This workshop or conference is happening today, so that at least you are also able to know what is happening in other countries. Because I know there are other countries like Burkina Faso too, it also collects revenue from the private copy system. And this is what they also pay to the rights holders. And Botswana too is able to license, and they're collecting about 1.5 million US, like what they did, million euro, hula, and it translates to about 200 and something US, which they have collected in the previous financial year. So you can see that if these smaller countries are able to do that, why not Nigeria? It should be able to do it. But it's not easy, because there are also challenges which I would want to give you now. For example, in Africa, the major challenge has been licensing. Licensing of copyright works, licensing of reproduction in our universities, colleges, even secondary schools. Some of our RROs, even though they have been there for long, but they haven't been able to penetrate through the market. So this has been a major challenge, and we've been helping each other, but maybe some of it could be, the reasons could also be because of ego, limitations, and some have been working on, amendments to their copyright acts and by REPRODUCTION in Nigeria. So I'm sure with now the new Copyright Act in place, off the ground. And then we also have the issue of surveys, which I mentioned. Yes, we did the surveys. Some of us have done that, but these have been a long time ago. So we need to carry out new surveys to update the results that we obtained some time back. So basically that has been a challenge, because we need more resources to carry out the survey. So most of our RROs are still new, and maybe others are still young, they're still growing. they have and developing, they haven't reached to a stage where they can collect a lot more money to support carrying out of the service to establish extent of photocopying or reproduction and downloading. So basically, if we are to get some support, like financial support, as RRR was from international organizations, which is what others have done, we will be able to come up with new results of the surveys that will help us to determine the extent of photocopying or reproduction. And then getting bilateral agreements has also been another challenge in Africa. So we basically think that because we are still underdeveloped, some of the developed RROs are not so much interested in signing bilateral agreements with us until we get there. So, but